breathe very heavily there, Lila.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It feels just so weird to sit down in front of a camera and actually talk to you guys. It's been, well, Lila's 4 weeks on, it'll be Friday. Should be 4 weeks by the time this goes up, I believe. But it's just, where has the time gone? Please tell me. Today we're going to sit down and I'm going to tell you the birth story. Now, before I tell you the birth story, I don't want anybody to think that I'm upset about the births, like the way the birth went, the way like it happened, because I'm not. I'm just happy that Lila's healthy, I'm healthy, and yeah, I don't want anybody to think I'm sat here complaining or that I'm upset. Would be a plane that goes by right now, wouldn't there? Also, I have my coffee in a flask because I've reheated this single coffee 3 times so far today and I've had like 4 sips out of it. We've had a very unsettled little Lila today, haven't we? She's really struggling with the wind. We have been given some medication by the doctor, but they told us to sit her upright, so I've sat her upright on me. This is the easiest way I can do it, and she absolutely loves it. She'll sleep away for hours now, and I can actually, there's some funky noises going on. And I can actually get like the majority of the things that I want to get done as well. I think she's dreaming. What do babies dream about? Is it just boobs and more boobs? I have got everything written down because I knew that I would forget something. So, so I am going to be referring back to my notes. Luke is currently at work today, so I solo parent during the day unless he's off work. And do you know what, it's going quite well. I do miss him being at home. He's so helpful, and obviously I miss spending time with him. And he's just so good with Lila, and he's amazing with me, especially when I'm like breastfeeding and stuff. He'll sit and feed me, or he'll go get me a drink or anything like that. But anyway, that's another story, breastfeeding. That's a different journey that I will speak about later. But today is the birth story, so let's just get straight into it. So if any of you didn't know, Lila was actually due on the 28th of November and she came on the 5th of November. So I was 36 weeks and 5 days, 36 weeks and 4 days, when I gave birth to her. So it was a massive shock. Obviously we didn't have a clue. It was completely natural, but I'll explain all that in a second. Let's get straight into it. So this is going to be very raw and real. If you know me, I have no shame. I will just say it how it is, and I just have no shame. So if that's not your cup of tea, or if you're a family member who doesn't want to hear me go into detail about everything, then please just click off, because this is going into detail. I want to say about a week and a half before I actually gave birth to Lila, I was really struggling with fecal impactment. Now, if you didn't know what that was, Google it. I'm not going to sit here explaining it to you, but the majority of you will know what that is. So it wasn't constipation, it was actually fecal impactment. Now they gave me loads of stuff. They gave me enemas to try, they gave me all this laxative to try, and nothing worked at all. I was in and out of hospital just to make sure that I was like, the baby was doing alright and that I was doing alright, because I was in quite a lot of pain. So that explains like the pain part of it. So on the 4th of November, I was in a lot of pain, and I just thought it was because of the fecal impactment. I didn't really think too much of it. I tried to just relax most of the, no, I didn't relax most of the day. That's a complete lie. I filmed the nursery tour, I remember now, just because I felt absolutely fine. I did my makeup, I got ready, and then just before I started to film, I had to sit down for a little bit because I don't know, I didn't feel right, and I just thought, hello? And I just thought it was because of the fecal impactment. So I sat down for a bit. Yes, this story is about you. This story is about... Smiling away. You got wind. I sat down for a minute before I filmed, just to like help myself feel better. And then I started to feel a little better, so I filmed that. And do you know what, I did struggle to film it. I was so out of breath. Looking back at how, because I edited it the same day, luckily, I filmed it and edited it the same day, uploaded it, and it was just sat there waiting for me to upload it on the actual day. So I did that, and then once I'd done that, I started to, I'm going off on tangent here, I started to feel a lot of pain, and I used the birthing ball, and that was it. I just tried to get on with it throughout the day, and then it came to about, was it 9 o'clock at night, and I was struggling quite a lot, and I took some paracetamol, and I don't think I took paracetamol once throughout the pregnancy. I've never been one to take paracetamol. It's just, I just get on with it. So I took some paracetamol, hoping that I was go, and I turned around and said to Luke, I said, what did I say? I said something along the lines of, what would you do if this was actually contractions? but I kind of just like brushed it off because I thought, do you know what, like I'm over 3 weeks, I've got over 3 weeks, I've got plenty of time, this is just, it's just my body's way of telling me that we're getting ready. Looking back now, I can tell that they were contractions because now I know what they were, but I'd never had a baby before, I didn't know what I was experiencing, Lou didn't know what I was experiencing, and I was sat thinking now, I sat on the sofa and I sat breathing through them, like trying to breathe. And looking back now, it was so blatantly obvious that I was having contractions. But at the time, we didn't know. So anyway, I said to Luke, it was 11 o'clock at night, and I said to Luke, look, I'm going to bed, I'm tired. I went upstairs and I went for a wee, and that is when I lost my mucus plug. Now, I thought your mucus plug was only a little bit. I lost loads. And now I know, like, you're not supposed to panic because once you lose your mucus plug, you can still, like, go a couple of weeks without having the baby. But me being me, I panicked. I shouted Luke up. Luke came up, was like, what's going on? And I showed him. He was obviously grossed out. And then we was just, the bathroom door was open, I got up off the toilet obviously, and I got my makeup wipes out and started to take my makeup off. And that is when me and Luke were just having a conversation, and my waters broke. Now when they told me, oh, don't expect, if your waters break, don't expect them to break like the movies, it would just trickle. Mine was like a waterfall. I was stood there, I stared at Luke, my waters literally, looks like a hose, just started coming out. I was just in pure panic because I knew what had happened. I looked at Luke. Luke like nervously started laughing and said, what are you doing? As if like, yeah, yes he did. As if like he thought I was peeing for a joke. Like I think he was just in shock. And then he nervously started laughing. He bent down, smacked his head off a door frame, the bathroom door frame, and fell to the floor. Now, he didn't pass out or anything, this was just all commotion. I was stood there, I didn't even care that he just smacked his head off the door frame. I didn't care that it was on the floor, I was going into pure panic. I was in pure panic mode, like I didn't think I'd react like this, but honestly, I started shaking like a chihuahua. I was so scared. Luke kind of went, he didn't go into a panic mode, he did really well actually. He started putting all the bags in the car, but bearing in mind, this was November, 11 o'clock at night, he left the front door wide open, so the whole house was freezing. So not only was I shaking because I was panicking, I was shaking because I was absolutely freezing, and he just didn't think it because he was trying to get everything in the car. Luckily, I'd finished packing our hospital bags that day. I can't imagine what would have happened if I didn't, because I'd literally used everything in my hospital bag. As Luke was putting all the stuff in the car, that's when I rang the hospital. And they said because you're early and you're because it was only by like 2 days, which was classed as premature. So they said because you're early and your waters have gone, you need to come in. So we got to so I jumped in the shower. I don't know why I did it. I jumped in the shower thinking that my waters are gone, so they won't go again. So I jumped in the shower, got out, and I was trying to get myself dry and ready, but I was shaking because I was that scared. I was just scared of the pain. I didn't feel ready at all. I just was so unprepared. I started getting dressed and I had to put, what did I put on? No, I didn't. I was going to say I put some disposable pants on, like the nappy, adult nappy things, but I don't think I did. I think I just put pants on. I don't know why I didn't put disposable pants on. And I had to sit in a towel in Luke's car because I was literally, it was just, when I say constant, like for about 3-4 hours, there was just water coming out and coming out. So anyway, we drove to the hospital because it was 11 o'clock, 11, 12 o'clock at night, there was nobody on the road, so it was actually a really easy drive. But my pains had stopped, like since my waters had broke, my pains had stopped. I was quite confused. But anyway, we let family know what was happening, and then we got to the hospital. We got to the hospital and we were on I think it was a labour ward at this point, I think. Was it? I'm not sure. We got to the ward and they checked me, and I don't think I was even a centimetre. I think they said I was just shy of a centimetre, so obviously I had a long way to go. And they gave me some antibiotics just to make sure that I didn't get an infection because my waters had broke. They did all my obs and everything and they were absolutely fine. I did ask for a water birth because I've said from the start I never planned my birth because of things like this. That I wasn't going to plan it because if I had planned it I would have got upset that it didn't go the way I wanted it to. But I asked for a water birth, but they said because I'm early they recommend me not to have one just in case. So I said that's fine, I'd rather know that she's okay and I'd just crack on with it. See, Luke couldn't stay because visiting hours are 1 till 7 now, and because I wasn't in active labour I got taken down to a different ward. Now this was just a ward where from what I could see it was just people who were getting monitored, so it wasn't even people that were due to give birth anytime soon. They were just being monitored for something's gone wrong or something like that. So I was just on a normal ward. Now, they took me down, and I got ready for bed. They showed me where the toilets and everything were. They had baths and showers in there that if I wanted to, but I wasn't in pain at this point. So I thought, right, I'll get some sleep now. Luke went home and I told him to go to work the next day because I just thought there's no point him wasting a day's paternity leave, or he actually had holiday. There's no point wasting that for me just to be in hospital. I'd rather him took it when I came home. So he went home to get some sleep. I tried to get some sleep, but about an hour and a half later, that's when my contractions really started. So once my pains had started, I just tried to sleep through them. If I'm honest, I hadn't googled hypnobirth or anything like that. I'd read a couple of books, but that was it. So I was on my own in this labour ward, trying to be quiet, because obviously when I wasn't loud at all, but you know when you're like, oh, like that kind of thing. I was trying to be quiet because nobody else in this labour ward was in labour but me. So I asked the midwife if I had some pain relief. She gave me, because I wasn't on the labour ward, I couldn't have anything but paracetamol. So I had paracetamol. Paracetamol doesn't do anything. Like, you are for a pregnant, like somebody who's in labour, paracetamol. God, it's just pointless. Anyway, I took this bloody paracetamol thinking it would make a difference, and it honestly didn't. My contractions were coming in thick and fast. I kept telling them that they were coming in thick and fast, and they just offered me a bath, which, to be fair, I got in the bath. Hello? Yeah, do you remember that bath? Because I do. Yeah? Oh, good girl. Is that your wind? Good girl. Yeah, Mummy forgets about her coffee every time, and this is why she has to reheat it all the time. Where was I? Yeah, they offered me a bath. Now, do you know what? This really, really helped, and they were so lovely. They put like fairy lights in there. They turned all the actual main lights off. They put really relaxing music on, and do you know what? Like, my contractions were mainly in my back, from what I can remember. I'm gonna say one thing is, this is a blur. Like, from going into hospital, from when my contractions started, the whole thing's a blur, and I think it's just you go into this mentality of trying to control the pain, trying to just get yourself through it, that I'm literally, what I'm telling you is I can't remember the full, like, the actual what happened. Anyway, I was in this bath. I think I was in this bath for about 2.5 hours, if not maybe 3 hours. They kept knocking to check on me, but it was the only way that I could get relaxed, and it helped so much. But then they started to get a bit worse, so I got out of the bath and got into bed, but laying down just didn't do it for me. Like, that made my pains even worse. And I know it sounds sad saying it, but because I had nobody there. Obviously the midwife was there, but at that point I really needed Luke there, because my back hurt that much that I was trying to jam my own fist like into my back to try and relieve the pain. And that's when, like, I needed Luke there. I needed him to massage me. I needed him to help me, but I just had to get on with it on my own. I got out of bed and I was next to the windowsill. I had my arms on the windowsill, like swaying, trying to breathe through them. I kept buzzing the midwife. I telling them, like, I need something, I need gas in air, get me that epidural, I need something. But they said, no, you can't have anything till you're on the labour ward. But I said, when am I going on to the labour ward? And they basically said, when you're in active labour. I was timing my contractions were every 2 to 3 minutes. They wouldn't listen to me, and so they hooked me up to this machine, and apparently this machine said that I wasn't having regular contractions. And I said to them, well, why am I timing them every few minutes? But they just wasn't having any of it. So I got up off the bed. During this, like, I had paracetamol and Diaz, something a little bit stronger than paracetamol, but that didn't do anything either. And then I started being sick. Luckily I had a sink next to my bed. I think it was a communal sink, I'm not gonna lie, but I was being sick on it. So then I started being sick. What happened after that? I need to refer back to my notes. Yeah, so all this, like, my contractions were quite regular. This is about 9 o'clock, so having the bath. So obviously I got to hospital about 11 to about 12 o'clock, had a bath and everything, was trying to get through the pain, and then it was 9 AM, and that's when I started asking for more pain relief. That's when they put me on the monitor, because they'd swapped over from the night shift to the day staff, and the day staff kept telling me that I wasn't having regular contractions. I kept buzzing them, and one of the midwives came, and she was getting annoyed that I was buzzing her, but I was in that much pain I just needed something. I had nobody there with me. I was doing this on my own. I needed something, and she got ratty. Like, she didn't get ratty, she wasn't horrible, but you know when somebody, you can tell they're getting frustrated with you, and I could tell she was getting frustrated with me. And I kept saying, when am I going on to labour ward, please, can you get them to let me up there? She was just like, yeah, we're just waiting on them to get back to us, you're not in active labour yet, and all this crap. Not salty or anything, but talking about it now, like going through the whole thing, like it just made me a little bit mad. I know I said that I wasn't upset or anything. It just upsets me the fact that if there's any other first time, because I know for a fact this was all because I was a first time mum. I'd never laboured before in my life, and I know that they were just sort of, she's not coping with it. But as you'll find out in a minute, I was coping. I was coping well. All this was happening. It came to 11 in the morning, and I asked one of the midwives. I started pushing. I went to the toilet and I started pushing. But I could not stop my body, and I said to one of the midwives, is this normal? And she was like, yeah, it's just your body getting ready for labour. I was like, right, okay. And then about 5 minutes passed, I climbed onto the bed. I don't know what made me do it, it's just your body goes into this whole different situation, it just does what it needs to do. I got on all fours onto the bed and I started pushing on the middle of this ward. Everybody else was calm. I was sat there pushing this baby out, and I rang the buzzer, and I was just in my own world. And the midwife that got ratty with me was the one that came over and said, as I was in the all four position, she said, can I check you? And I must have said yes or whatever. And she pulled my underwear to the side and checked me, and I was fully dilated, her head was there, and I was pushing. So I was in active labour and I needed pain relief. So at this point, they started acting really nice to me and started panicking. And they said, you need to get your bed. Bear in mind, I hadn't been updating Luke because, like I said, once you're in this zone, you're in the zone. I wasn't going on my phone. I wasn't updating family. I wasn't updating Luke. Luke thought I was just sleeping, so he wasn't worried. He gets this phone call from me saying, you need to get to the hospital now. I'm fully dilated and I'm pushing. I think his work's are 40 minutes away from the hospital, so he's obviously leaves work, rushes to the hospital. They rush me up to the labour ward, and I get into the labour ward. I remember laying in this bed saying, thank God, I'm going to get some pain relief. I said, can I have the epidural? They was like, Molly, you're a bit late for the epidural. They was like, but you can have gas in it. I was like, oh, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. I am not one of the, I said from the start, if I need pain relief, I'm going to take it. I needed it bad. But so we got to once I got onto that labour ward, I cannot fault them. They were so lovely. Our midwife, who was with it, who delivered, well, she didn't deliver the baby, I'll get into that, but who was with us whilst we were pushing and everything, she was absolutely amazing. She was so sweet, so kind. She really made me feel safe, really looked after the pair of us. She was just absolutely amazing. She made the experience 10 times better. She really did. Once I got on into the room, and I started pushing everything, they gave me the gas and air. Now let me tell you, that gas and air was a lifesaver. Honestly, the best thing since sliced bread. I'd been in there 10 minutes. Me being on this gas and air, I was high as a kite. I thought I'd been in there an hour. I started panicking, thinking, where the hell's Luke? Bearing in mind I'd only been in there 10 minutes. I got my phone, I think the midwife gave me my phone. And I rang Luke, like, where are you? He was like, I'm like half an hour away. I'm like, what do you mean you're half an hour away? And that's when the midwife informed me that I'd only been there 10 minutes. So I left him to it, and then I think another 20 minutes had passed, and I said, oh, can I ring Luke again? And she was like, look, let him just get here. He's probably trying to park. If you ring him now, you probably get him stressed. Let him try and get here. So I was like, okay, that's fine, fair enough, we'll do that. And then Luke got here, and I don't remember this bit, like I said, like, all this is a bit of a blur. But when Luke got there, Luke said that I didn't even know he was there for about 10 minutes. I was in my zone, he was next to me, and I didn't acknowledge him. Not because I was being horrible, but just because I think I was just in my own little zone. But anyway, Luke was there, all was good, we was doing this, I was pushing when my contractions were coming, and like, it's so hard to explain, but your contractions before you start pushing are, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh, it was okay. It hurts. Let's not lie, that hurts. But once you start pushing, it's almost like it's not painful. I don't know about anybody else, it's not painful, it's just the pressure, and you have no control, like your body just does it, and your body's amazing. My body was just doing this and I was just going along with it. But once I had that gas in her, I was fine. I was, so it was, what? I was pushing for 2 hours, that's what I was saying. So it got to about an hour, and that's when the, was it the surgeon or I don't know what, basically came to check. And she was right there, like they could see her hair and everything for ages. They put a little clip on her head just to monitor her, and she was doing fine. The heart rate dropped, I think maybe once or twice, but she was doing okay. I was doing okay. I hadn't slept in 31 hours, hadn't eaten in God knows how long, but I was pushing through. So he came and checked, and he said, I'll give you another half an hour. He came back in another half an hour, and he said, you're so close, I'll give you another half an hour. It came to 2 hours of pushing. I'm not gonna lie, I was so done. I was so tired. My body, I have never felt physically drained before. Like, you always say, oh, I feel a bit drained, I feel a bit run down. This is a next level. Like, my body didn't have anything left. I physically didn't have anything left at all. And I said to them, I said, please help me. I said, I can't do this, I need some help. And they said, like, you've been pushing for too long now, the baby's going to start getting stressed. So that's when they had a chat with me and Luke. I was still not really with it at this point, but that's when they had a chat with me and Luke and said, look, we will take you into theatre, prep you for a C-section just in case, but we will try forceps and a episiotomy first. So I wasn't upset, I wasn't mad, I just said, look, let's get this done. I'm ready to meet her, my body's done, I don't want to stress the baby out anymore, let's just do this. So I signed all the waiver forms and everything. They got me ready, they got Luke in his scrubs. They popped me in a wheelchair and they took me through to theatre. What did they do after that? Yeah, and then they put me on the bed, and do you know what, the only thing I wasn't scared of them cutting down there to get her out, I wasn't scared of the forceps. I was scared of the needle, I was scared of the epidural. I've always said that I wouldn't have the epidural just because of the needle, even though I was begging for it a few hours before that. You are a snorer, aren't you? I sat on the bed, I had a contraction just before. I remember the midwife who was helping deliver our baby, I had my arms like round her shoulders, bless her. She was so sweet, trying to breathe through this contraction. And then once they'd done that, the epidural didn't even hurt, like that was nothing. So they gave me the epidural and I laid down, and that was the most relaxed I'd been in so long. I was at peace there. I just felt so much better once that started getting in me. I remember, so where we live, we have like allocated midwives throughout the pregnancy, and the midwife phoned up who had been looking after me, and she didn't have to do this, but she came to the hospital, and she literally got there just in time. She was in theatre as well, so I had the midwife who helped us like through the push-in. She was amazing, and then I also had the midwife that I've had throughout the majority of my pregnancy, which was also amazing. They both made us feel so safe, knowing that we had, especially knowing that we had somebody there that we know. Like, this midwife had been with us and she's just been absolutely amazing. Midwife got there as well, we was all there, we was ready. And then I remember them saying, they said something like, she's nearly here or something. And I thought they said she's here. And I literally started panicking. I was like, why is she not breathing? Why is she not crying? And that's when I was like, Molly, calm down, she's not actually here yet. And then I'll put some photos in here, but I remember, I'm gonna get emotional now. Pregnancy hormones are awful. Yeah, I remember, I need to calm down. No, I remember when they pulled her out, and I heard her cry for the first time, and they put her on my chest. She was covered in blood and all this verdicts and stuff. I remember looking at Luke, and he was full on crying. Oh. But yeah, we just looked at each other, both started crying. She looks completely different. I think we've got some photos on here that the midwife took, so I'll put them in there. But we both was just we were crying. Honestly, it was the best feeling in the world. I remember just, because I remember just holding her there for ages, and yeah. Anyway, So she was out, she was here, it was absolutely amazing. She was born at 22 minutes past 3 on the 5th of November. You were, weren't you? Yeah. They took her away to like sort her out, cut her umbilical cord. Luke cut her umbilical cord. And then she weighed £7, 2.5 ounces. And then that was pretty much it for the terms of the birth story. Obviously, like I said, we went back in the room afterwards. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm breastfeeding. She latched straight away. She fed for an hour straight. It was absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna lie, the midwife and Luke was there with me the whole time, and they put cushions and that around me, but I fell asleep with her nursing on me because I was just so tired. It was just the best feeling in the world. And then Luke, he was amazing. He didn't hold her for a while. I think he was a bit scared, but he stayed until about 11 o'clock at night, and then he had to go, and then they took me down to the ward afterwards, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not going to speak about my recovery or anything, because I'll do a separate video in terms of like postpartum and all that kind of stuff, because this video is probably already really long. Not too bad, 31 minutes and 10 seconds once I cut that down. So yeah, it shouldn't be too long. I say that now. You're all going to be looking at the time thinking, Molly, it's still long. But yeah, so that is the birth story of little Miss Lila McCormick. That is everything for our birth story. I know it's took me like nearly 4 weeks to get it up, and I actually posted the bringing her home before, but that's just because I wanted to get the footage up. And I've been saying that I'm going to record this for like 3 weeks now, and I just haven't had time, or I've just been too tired. But we're getting there, aren't we? We're doing well. Yes. But that is everything, guys. Thank you so much for listening to my birth story, and thank you so much if you've got this far. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, because then I'll know that you've enjoyed this content. Comment down any content ideas that you guys have, or any questions or anything, and turn on that post notification bell so you know when I post, because it's not going to be regular like it used to be, but we'll get back there eventually. But that is it from me and Lila, and we will see you next time. Bye!